Citizenship, a legal relationship between a person and a country. In acquiring citizenship by birth versus naturalization.
Jus soli, law of soil or place of birth. Jus sanguinis, law of blood or blood relations.
How you can be a natural-born Filipino citizen. The Philippine national law based on Jus sanguinis. Born in America but the parents are both Filipino, he or she can achieve dual citizenship. The 1935 Constitution, if a mother is a Filipino, married a foreigner, then a child can be called an alien. The child remains an alien until he or she elects the Philippine citizenship after reaching the majority age. This rule was changed under the 1987 Constitution. A Filipina does not lose her citizenship after marriage to an alien. Aliens can be Filipino citizens through naturalization. 3 ways to become naturalized citizens. First, direct naturalization with 3 classifications. First, administrative naturalization. Second, judicial naturalization. And last is direct act of the Congress. Qualified applicants. Native-born aliens who live in the Philippines all their lives basis on Republic Act 9139 or the Administrative Naturalization Law of 2000. Must be at least 18 years old, born and have lived in the Philippines, good moral character, and must believe in the Constitution, must own a real estate in the Philippines, work for not less than 5,000 pesos or have a lucrative trade, profession, and lawful occupation. Able to speak and write in any Filipino dialect in the school prescribed by the law. Second classification is judicial naturalization, which follows or bases Commonwealth Act 473. At least 21 years old at the hearing of the petition. Resides in the Philippines for at least 10 years. Good moral character and must believe in the Constitution. Must own a real estate in the Philippines, work for not less than 5,000 pesos or have a lucrative trade, profession, and lawful occupation. Able to speak and write in English or Spanish and any one of the Philippine languages in the school prescribed by the law. The second ways to become a naturalized citizen is derivative naturalization, obtaining one's citizenship from or through another person. Wife of naturalized husband, alien wife of a natural-born citizen, between minor children of a naturalized parents. Naturalized citizen can enjoy the following. First, dual citizenship. Second, run in any political position. Effects of marriage to a foreigner. Filipino citizen married an alien retain citizenship unless they renounce citizenship. Third classification is the direct act of the Congress or legislative naturalizations. This applies only for aliens who have made outstanding contribution to the country. There are 2 cases of losing citizenship. First is voluntary, second is involuntary. Let's talk about first the voluntary. Naturalization in another country, renunciation of citizenship, subscribing to an oath of allegiance. Second is involuntary of losing citizenship, cancellation of certificates of naturalization by the court. A deserter of the Philippines Armed Forces. Reacquisition of lost Philippine citizenship. First is naturalization. Second is direct act of the Congress. Third is repatriation or recovery of original citizenship. Dual citizenship versus dual allegiance. First is dual citizenship. A citizen of 2 countries at the same time. If the Filipino dad and the Filipino mom give birth at the foreign country, the child can have dual citizenship.
It is a right to vote in political elections. It is a right as a citizen of your country. It allows you to vote according to your values. It gives you the opportunity to vote despite your wealth, social status, ethnicity, etc. You can take or exercise the suffrage if you are live in the Philippines. Even you cannot read and write, all Filipino citizens has the right to vote. Any Filipino citizen who is at least 18 years old resident in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place where he intends to vote for at least 6 months. Vote wisely. Scope of suffrage.
Article 6. The Legislative Department. Legislative power. It is the power to make, alter, and repeal law. The legislative power is divided into four. First is original power. The original power. This is processed by the people by initiative and referendum. Second is the legislative. The legislative passed by the Congress and body provide virtue and constitution. Third is constituent, the power to amend and revise the Constitution. Fourth is ordinary, the power to pass ordinary law. The legislative branch. By the Republic of the Philippines Congress, bicameral body composed of two houses. The upper house called the Senate, concept of 24 senators. The lower house called House of the Representative, concept not more than of 250 members. The 20% of it are the party-list representative, the House of the Representative, headed by the Speaker of the House, raising the member down to reappointment. This process result creation of new district and province. This must be done in the Congress within 3 years after the return of the census, in order to ensure that proportional representation is preserved. There has two types of congressman. First is district congressman representative, represent a particular congressional district of the country. Second is party list representative, represent the minority sector of the population. RA 7914 party list system mandates that should be one of the party list representative for every 4 legislative district representative of 20% total members of the House of the Representative.
The qualification of a senator. Natural-born citizens of the Philippines, at least 35 years old, able to read and write, registered voter, are resident of the Philippines for not less than 12 years old before the election by term office 6 years. Term limits. A senator cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms, but they may run for re-election after a break or interval. Qualification of the members of the Household of Representatives. Natural-born citizens of the Philippines, at least 25 years old, able to read and write, registered vote in the district he seeks to represent, a resident of such district for at least 1 year immediately preceding the election day. Terms office 3 years. Terms office. Members of the Household of the Representatives can serve more than 3 years consecutive terms. Tentative election. 2 types of the election. Regular election. The 1987 Philippines Constitution states that allows otherwise provided by the election of the members of the Congress in every second of Monday of May. Special elections. Supposedly held with the regular election but was delayed some matters. An election to elect a new official after the predecessors left the office. Special election. New senators with seat only for the expired
Salaries. shall determine by the law. Rule: no increase shall take effect until after the expiration of the full term of all the members. Example, current Congress. Increase salaries. The increase shall take the effect to the next member of the Congress. Sessions. Three types of sessions. First, the regular sessions. The Congressional convenes once every year of the fourth Monday of July. For each regular session, unless the difference is fixed by law, they shall continue to be in session for such numbers of days as may be determined by 30 days before the opening of the next regular sessions. Excluded: Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. Second sessions. The Congress is called anytime to consider some urgent and national concerns. The third sessions. The executive sessions. In some rare cases, the Congress or President may call a secret or closed-door sessions when matters of national interest are to be discussed.
Quorum: the required number of a member of each house to be present in order to transact business during its regular special session. Rule: no law can be passed on legislative function discharged unless the quorum is reached. Determining the quorum: one of the member of a quorum, majority of each house equals quorum. Important to remember to those who are member in abroad, suspended, prevented from participating, are not allowed. Only those who are in the Philippines and one in the Congress has prospective power to enforce command are counted. Adjournment: in the absence of quorum, a smaller number of the member may postpone session from day to day. Order for the arrest or acting Senate Speaker.
Discipline and punishment. The Constitution grants each House crowd power to discipline its members for physically, mentally, and morally unfit. Number 1. Suspensions. The Congress can suspend the member with a concurrence of 2 to 3 of all its members. 2. Expulsions. The Congress can expel a member with the 2 to 3 of all its members and shall exceed in 60 days. Legislative Journal. The official record of what is done and passed in a legislative assembly. The primary purpose of it is to: number 1. Provide the public record of the proceeding of the Congress. Number 2. Enable the people to know easily how the representatives fulfill their duties. Rules of procedure. The rule made by lawmaking body to regulate the manner of conducting its deliberations. Adjournment. The House may not adjourn for more than 3 days or to some other place without the consent of the order. Independent bodies in the Congress. Electoral Tribunal. Sole judge of all contests relating to the elections, returns, and qualifications of their respective members. According to our Constitution, the Senate and the House of the Representatives shall each have an electoral tribunal. This is especially needed in the times of election contests. Election contest. An election of which the legality or validity of the result is challenged by the losing candidate. Composition of the Electoral Tribunal must consist of the following: 3 Supreme Court and judges designated by the Chief Justice, 6 members of the Senate or the House of Representatives, 9 total members. Take note: Senior Justice or Chairman, congressional members of the Electoral Tribunal shall be chosen on the basis of proportional representation. Political parties and party list organizations, the decision of Electoral Tribunal is final, may not be appealed to the Supreme Court, except on the basis grave abuse of discretion.
For congressional disqualifications, there are 5 prohibitions that we use to know. 1. Prohibition against holding more than one position by appointed officials. 2. Prohibition to be appointed to any office in the government that has been created or the elements thereof have been increased during its term. 3. Prohibition to appear as counsel before any court of justice, electoral tribunal, quasi-judicial, and administrative bodies. 4. Prohibition against having any financial interest in any contract with the government, etc., directly or indirectly. 5. Prohibition to intervene in any matter before any office of the government. And parliamentary privileges grants a certain legal immunities for members of both houses to allow them to perform their duties without interference from outside of the house. Purpose: for the members of the Congress to effectively carry out its functions. 1. Privilege from arrest. And the rule, the offense must not be punishable for more than 6 years of imprisonment. Number 2. Privilege of speech and debate. And the rule, the privilege is effective only in speeches and debates made in Congress. Number 3. Congress not in session were part of legislative action.
How does a bill become a law? From step 1 to 10, number 1, bill reading. Number 2, first reading. Number 3, committee hearing report. Number 4, calendar for second reading. Number 5, second reading. Number 6, voting on the second reading. Number 7, voting on the third reading. Number 8, referral to other chamber. Number 9, bicameral conference. Number 10, submission to the Malacanang with 3 options. And the 3 options are, first and foremost, is approved. The next 2, vetoed. And lastly, lapse into law.
The power of taxation, exercised by Congress. The Constitution mandates the Congress to have the progressive tax system, ensure that all taxpayers pay the same rates and the same levels of taxable income. Tax exemption are exempted from tax. 1. Charitable institution. 2. Churches. 3. Mosques. 4. Non-profit cemetery. The power of the poor's. Simplest example of the allowance that you have from your mother. Appropriation law. Necessary before public funds may be spent by the government for its project. Budget process of the Philippines government. Number 1. Budget preparation. 2. Budget legislation. 3. Budget execution. 4. Budget accountability. The power to approve treaties. No international treaty or agreement shall be valid without the agreement of 2/3 of the members of the Senate.
The power to declare existence of war and emergency power. Congress has the sole power to declare the existence of a state war. Vote requirements. 2/3 of both houses in joint season voter separately must agree of the declaration. Power to delegate emergency power, exercise power necessary and proper to carry out a declared national policy. Expiration of emergency power, this may be withdrawn by a resolution of Congress. The power to determine rules of procedures and proceeding. The rules made by law-making body to regulate the manner of conducting its deliberation. The power to conduct inquiries. Number 1, legislative inquiry. Process held in the Congress conducted of compulsory obtain requisite information from witnesses in aid of legislation. Number 2, question R, an inquiry conducted information from heads of department on matters pertaining activities and management of department. Executive power, the authority to enforce orders and to ensure they are carried out as intended. The superheroes of the executive department. Number 1, the president. He is the head of state and the head of the government. The chief executive, the president, exercises control of all the executive department boroughs and offices. He also has an official residence called the Malacanang Palace. Number 2, the vice president, the second highest official in the Philippines. Number 3, the cabinet members, service and advisory to the president. The cabinet composed of the VP. And the heads of executive, they are nominated by the president and must be confirmed by the Commission of Appointments. How to become part of executive department. Qualification of the president, natural-born Filipino, a registered voter, must be able to read and write. Note 40, 10, 6, 12. 40 age requirement for president and vice president. 10 number of years the president and vice president must live in the Philippines. 6 years of office term the president and vice president. First, the president can only run election one time. Successive term of the VP is allowed to run and can run for president.
Presidential succession. Vice President, Senate President, Speaker of the House, vacancies at the beginning of the term. Vacancy. President-elect fails to qualify or to be chosen. If the President-elect dies or permanently disabled, if both the President and the Vice President are not chosen or do not qualify of both die or both become permanently disabled. Successor. Vice President-elect will be acting President until someone is qualified or chosen as President. The Vice President becomes President. the Senate President, or in case of his inability, the Speaker of the House shall act as President until a President or Vice President shall have chosen and qualified. Vacancies after the office is initially filled. Vacancy. If the president-elect dies or is permanently disabled, is impeached, or resigns. If both the president and vice president die, become permanently disabled, are impeached, or resigns. Successor. The vice president become president for the unexpired term. The Senate President, or in case of his inability, the Speaker of the House shall act as President until the President or Vice President shall have been elected and qualified. Vacancy in the office opt the Vice President. If the office of the Vice President is vacant as a consequence of the presidential succession, the President shall nominate a Vice President among the members of the Congress, but it needs confirmation from the members of the Congress. The temporary disability of the President. Number 1. Declaration by the President. If the President himself transmit a written declaration to the Senate, President, and House Speaker, the Vice President becomes acting President. Number 2. Declaration of the members of the Senate. If majority of the cabinet members transmit written declaration to the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Vice President becomes the acting President. But if the President transmits to the Senate President and Speaker a written declaration that no inability exists, he shall reassumes his office. 3. Decision by the Congress. If there is a dispute between the President and the cabinet members, the Congress will decide. Voting requirements. 2/3 vote of the both houses voting separately. If it reaches 2/3, the Vice President will act as President, but if it fails to reach 2/3 of votes, the President will continue exercising.
Presidential illness. If the President is seriously ill, the public must be informed. B. The members of the Cabinet in charge of the national security and foreign relations and the Chief of Staff of the AFP should not be denied access to the President during such illness. Special election. The Congress shall at 10 o'clock in the morning of the third day after the vacancy in the office of the President and the Vice President occurs convene in accordance with its rules without need of a call and within 7 days enact a law calling for a special election to elect a President and a VP to be held not earlier than 45 days nor later than 60 days from the time of such call. Prohibited acts. The President and the VP shall not receive any other emoluments from the government or any other source on section number 6b, unless otherwise provided in the Constitution, should not hold any other office or employment in section number 13. C. Should not directly or indirectly 1. Practice any other profession. 2. Participate in any businesses. 3. Be financially interested in any contract with or in any franchise or special privilege granted by the government or any subdivision, agency, or instrumentality thereof including government-owned controlled corporation and their subsidiaries, section number 13. D. Strictly avoid conflict of the interest conduct of their office in section number 13. A. May not appoint. A. Spouse. B. Relatives by the consanguinity or affinity within the fourth civil degree as a member of Constitutional Commission of the Office of the Ombudsman or as a secretaries. Undersecretaries, chairman, or heads of bureaus of office, including government-owned and controlled corporations under subsidiary section number 13.
The 1987 Constitution, the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines Preamble. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of Almighty God in order to build a just and humane society and establish a government that shall embody our ideals and aspirations, promote the common good, conserve and develop our patrimony, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of independence and democracy under the rule of law and a regime of truth, justice, freedom, love, equality, and peace. To ordain and promulgate this Constitution.